On this week's episode of An Echo of Glory, we have to talk about the defeat to Arsenal, but we look ahead to the Chelsea game with former Spurs and Chelsea defender Jason Cundy, and we announce the winner of our book giveaway. Welcome to another episode of An Echo of Glory. Joining me, as always, Jake Robson.
Hello.
And an Echo of Glory welcome, a debut to James Robbins. Hello.
Hi there. Happy to be here.
Thank you for joining us. Making your debut after a North London derby. It's a bit like inverse, opposite Danny Rose, who made his debut in the derby. You're making it just after the derby.
Yeah, it feels a bit cruel, to be honest.
Well, now knowing the result, it's a bit cruel.
Even if we won, it's high pressure. It's the biggest game of the season.
That's the way we pod, mate. It's all pressure.
I think actually after that result, it's a free hit now, isn't it? Can't get any worse. Bring him in.
Play at Chelsea on Thursday.
Gary who?
yeah, quite bloody right. Jake, I wanted to pick up on something I saw on social media. You're here, which means you got out of the den alive.
I'm still alive. Yeah.
You really annoyed some Millwall fans, and they're not the people you want to annoy.
Yeah, where are they? Let's be having you. No, I did annoy them, and I know why I annoyed them because I touched a nerve on something that is just factually correct.
Go on then.
The truth hurts. All their fans, a load of their fans,
all
not all their fans, a lot of their fans, some of their fans. You know, and I'm not going to say it's a small minority. There was a pitch invasion at the end of the game at full time, which I'm led to believe happens every year. Fine. Does that make it right? The club didn't want it to happen.
Right.
And there was a police cordon and the response, and I put a video up saying poor from the fans to go on at the end. And they took exception to the fact that I called it poor. And the suggestion that, you know, that they shouldn't be doing it. The club didn't want them to do it. And also some of the stuff that people write, not the potentially offensive stuff, because I mean, I laughed. Some of it's funny. They were saying like there wasn't any trouble or whatever. There was security having to go in to break up fights between Millwall fans. So come on. I mean, like, and I saw that happening from
Blue
where
on
I was
blue.
at. Yeah, blue on blues. It's like either people just lie or they don't know with the full story or
The
whatever.
season didn't even amount to anything, really.
Yeah.
Did it?
Exactly. Just stay off the pitch.
Who did they beat? Birmingham? No.
At the weekend?
Yeah.
I can't even remember. That's how good the game was. Plymouth.
How did our Spurs boys
No, they
play?
didn't beat them.
They didn't beat them?
I don't even
I
remember.
don't think our boys are playing at the moment.
No,
very
I
much
noticed they'd
since
been rested, dropped to the bench.
manager change. There was a lot of stuff.
The best
beat
comment
Plymouth
I got was some people like don't come back to the den, all this kind of thing. The best comment I got was just YFI.
YFI. You fucking idiot.
I like that though. It took me a second to work it out. Yeah.
Involved in any pitch invasion scandals this week, Jason?
No,
pitch
no, not for me.
I've noticed actually you've got the same glasses on.
I think so.
Yeah.
Qubits?
Absolutely.
Oh,
Qubits.
There you go. Johnny, you're missing out.
I'm going to put
Qubits.
mine on for the rest of the show because they're not the same, but there you go.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
That's incredible.
Isn't it?
I
Qubits.
watched
Yeah.
a couple episodes. I was like, wait a second. Maybe I can't wear them.
No, you damn well should. Absolutely.
All right. That's that out of the way. Do you feel like you won your first tackle, you're in now to the point?
Yeah, eased out.
All right, let's start as we always do with some club news. We're going to start with the under-18s this week. Beat West Brom 5-3 at home. 4-1 up at half-time thanks to a Damola Ajayi hat-trick. They're fifth in the table with 2 matches remaining. The women drew 1-1 at home to Brighton. Beth England, 4 goals and 6 now for her. They're 6th in the league, unbeaten in the last 6 in all competitions. 1 game, they're going to play Everton at the weekend, and then they've got the FA Cup final. 2 key players missing on Sunday, Martha Thomas and Celine Bizet, but they're hopeful they will be back for the final. And saving the best until last, we've won a trophy, ladies and gentlemen. Again, the under-21s have secured the Premier League 2 title with a 2-0 win at Fulham. Will Lancashire scoring both goals, taking his tally to 18.
Lineker Shearer.
Yeah, he's a complete Lancashire cross between Lineker and Shearer. They'll enter the elimination playoffs, so they'll play the 16th team in the league.
Okay.
That's how it works.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if I know who that is, but definitely don't.
No, I could have looked it up. I will maybe in a second. And they've also secured a spot in the Premier League International Cup. They're also still in the Premier League Cup semi-final against Forest. But I did notice last night they got dropped 5-0 at Crystal Palace.
It was quite a changed team.
Right.
They played 3 at the back,
Yeah.
which is not what they've been doing all season. It's
That's
been
weird.
very much an Ange 4-3-3.
Yeah.
Maybe it suited the players, the 3 at the back that they put out. But Lancashire was on the bench, for example. And yeah, just much changed team. I
Yeah.
don't think there's anything to read into
They're on the
it.
beach.
Well, they got off the beach because here we go. They are playing the 16th place team, and they are at home to Aston Villa in the round of 16. It was a big win for Palace because the higher they finished, the lesser opposition they may face. So they apparently were going to play Arsenal, and now they're not playing Arsenal. So there was something on it for Palace. But Spurs will play Aston Villa at home in the under-21 round of 16. Okay, last week we announced competition. Our friend Gareth Dace has written this book. Is Gascoigne going to have a crack? All about Spurs in the 90s. And we asked for your favourite Spurs goal against Arsenal. Now, if we had come back to 3-3, I suspect it would have been that. But we didn't. What was yours, Jake?
Kane. North London derby at the old stadium, 2016. Yes, the game we didn't win, but what a goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, the pace
James?
just lifted us.
It's got to be the Kane. It might be the same one. Kane outside the box, mask ripped
Yeah,
off.
the same one.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I still think this, by the way, this goal is the one.
Oh, yeah. It's your era, isn't it?
It's my era. Yeah, I'm that old. This is a
like
signed.
50 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, this is a signed copy by author Gareth Dace, and we have picked a
It's
winner.
a good goal. I'd like to hear.
Hang on, I need to tell you who the winner is.
Yeah, before you do that, I'd like to hear the people from people whose favourite goal is that Hoddle goal.
Against Arsenal.
No, was that not against the chip?
I was against Watford.
I was all that.
We'll do a competition for Spurs goals
do
against
that.
Watford.
Don't write in.
We had a few, some from way back when. A Gilzine volley in 1972. Kane edge of the box 2016. Dele Alli in the League Cup.
Read the names.
Okay, Karan Kumar, Dele Alli's beautiful chip. Joel Delane, Kane's goal 2016. Sydney Duke, Gaza free kick.
Sydney, long-time listener.
Long-time listener. Norman Stanley Fletcher always gets involved on the YouTube comments. Gilzine pirouette volley 1972. Lloyd Becker, Kane 2016. Conography, Aaron Lennon in the 4-4.
Oh, that was
That's
Yeah.
Scenes.
some of it's the celebration,
Yeah.
the scenes afterwards, like Rafa with the shush in the crowd.
Yeah.
Is a big one.
Mona Lisa 11, so many. Kane, Bale, Bentley. Is he going to have a crack?
Bentley.
Anyway.
Lack of Danny Rose there.
That was Jake
Which is
too.
a-
That was Jake
too.
Sanders' favourite. Yeah.
That's a shock because maybe one of the best Premier League goals ever. Maybe.
Also the context around it.
Yeah.
Debut.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Early doors, volley.
there's been a real
The
detailed.
Bentley one was good.
Great.
Yeah.
In the 4-4.
Yeah.
A real detailed selection process. But the winner is Sippo 4349. So many wonderful goals to choose from, but Yunus Kabul's faint touch off his head to seal a wonderful comeback 3-2 away win 2010-11. Sippo, get in touch on the YouTube comments or in our Twitter, EOGTHFC, DM us, and we will send you a copy of this book. I mean, if you live in Australia, James is going to have to spend a lot of money sending it out. So I don't know how that's going to go.
the audio.
No, I
bit.
think it's like £7. My friend, we buy football shirts for each other every year.
Okay.
And I've had to send quite a couple to Australia since he moved.
All right, so next time you do a
Easy.
sale,
Easy.
so the next time you send stuff, can you just
Yeah, let's chuck that in as
Yeah,
well.
just chuck it in.
So Sippo 4349, Kabul's goal. I mean, a 3-2 win as well, away. That kind of
First
know-
away win at the Emirates as well, I believe.
only
I was going to
Only,
say.
in
Yeah.
the league.
Only.
In the
Yeah.
league, yeah. So that's one of the reasons as well. I know the Lennon goal was great and it was amazing to turn it around 4-4. Kane's goal we didn't go on and win. I just think that's it. Kabul's goal. All right.
Yeah.
Talking about Spurs Arsenal, we're going to have to do it, gents.
Let's do it.
How were you feeling, James, before the game? Were you confident, or were you? Well, actually, no. But actually, I want to. This is your first. This is your debut. I want to ask you in general about your thoughts on Spurs and Ange at the moment.
I'm pretty happy. My feelings of negativity tend to come around like the knee-jerk fan base with it because I think it's first season.
Mm-hmm.
If there was an expectation for us to go win the league or something, it's misguided.
For sure.
The start of the season is a bit of a poison chalice for us. We started so well, but even then, if you look at the underlying numbers, I think we were about mid-table with our like expected goals against. We weren't statistically keeping up with who everyone expected to be at the top. He's changed a lot, whole style of play, almost a completely different starting 11. Players just hitting the ground running, like Udogie's come straight in, Van der Ven's come straight in. Sar's improvement this season. I mean, he showed glimpses before, but I think he's been exceptional, especially considering we were all panicking about Bentancur. It's not to mean there aren't issues. We'll probably talk about the issues with set pieces and being so open. But if you look at Ange's track history, his first seasons have been tough. He said it would be tough. Again, poisoned by the start of the season. If we are where we are now next season, I still would say maybe that's too soon. Premier League's a different kettle of fish. However, there's more of a gripe there. Right now, I'm quite zen, calm. Need to see some changes for next season, but right now, yeah, I'm pretty happy, and I think seems like just a quality man.
Yeah, that's the vibe from what, like we said before, on numerous occasions we've spoken to players who've played under him, and all it's the vibe. He's got great integrity. He's a great man, and even the current players, a few have said he's a great man. But so you said zen. I'd love to be zen about it, and it's all about
a forced zen. Like I'm
okay.
I'm fighting,
bursting,
yeah,
ready to burst.
Yeah, I'm fighting my knee jerk emotions, to be honest. But yeah, generally quite calm.
All right, and personnel wise, what do you think we need?
I think there's been a lot of talk about wide positions, so a two-way winger. Werner's been doing quite well, I think, but there's question marks around our homegrown. Like, can we waste that spot? Also, it feels like we need a superstar. So, like, I think we were linked with Nico Williams from Bilbao. Be wonderful. But also in number 6, I'm really gutted we missed out on Adam Wharton. We didn't go for that.
It's the kind of player you'd think we'd go for.
In the past, your Huddlestons, Dele Alli's, picking up players from the Championship, lower leagues. Yeah, for sure. And I think he, in just a few games for Palace, especially with the change of manager as well, he's looked exceptional. Exactly what we need. Press resistant, good passer of the ball. Can dribble through midfield, gets the odd chance, but will sit as well. I'm really gutted we missed out on him. Now it'll cost a fortune. So yeah, definitely a number 6.
Centre forward, surely.
I don't know.
Really?
I'm less on a centre forward. Saw that Santiago Jimenez and Gertruda, not sure how to pronounce his name, was at the stadium.
Oh, what, the agent?
And both the players were watching the North London derby in the stadium.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Arsenal are after him as well. Maybe that's why.
Yeah, maybe. But we've been linked with Jimenez a lot.
Buying Dutch. I know he's Mexican, but
gives me like the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah.
Vincent Janssen part 2, is the fear.
Yeah.
Gertruda would be great. We really need fullback cover.
Big time.
I like Ben Davis, but we saw one of his limitations at the weekend. So yeah, I think there's a lot to build on. Ange does make a lot of signings.
But if we didn't sign a centre forward, you'd be cool with that. You're like, okay, we've got Son and Richarlison.
I think with Son and Richarlison, we cover 2 like different archetypes of striker, and we're kind of set. And I think if you're unless we get a big fee for Richarlison, then yeah, I'm fine. He can go and we'll replace him. But in terms of if he's fit all season, could see him scoring 15 plus goals, and then we could go spend 80 million to get a guaranteed maybe 20, 30 goal striker.
I get that. I
think if there was like a bottomless pit and we were going to sign 7 players, then you'd say a striker. But a striker wouldn't be the first, second, or third player that we need.
Really, because I think it's suddenly become. Do you know what? I was talking to a friend of mine, Scott Schindler, earlier. Really good. He knows his stuff, right? So I wanted to get his opinion, and he made the point that actually for the first time on Sunday, and mainly because he'd have been there heading the ball away from those corners, I felt like I'm really realised how much we miss Kane, and it's been creeping in with the Newcastle game, and one of the reasons we faff about at the back, and that's how Arsenal scored their first goal, which we'll come to. We can't go long. I know we don't want to go long, but sometimes you have to go long. Nothing sticks. Son doesn't make the ball stick. I love Son. I wanted to stay at Spurs until who's that bloke who's 58 and still playing in the Portuguese second division. I want him to stay at Spurs forever. But for me, the jury was out. I don't think he's a 9. Richarlison, I love his energy. Just don't think he's got the quality that we need.
I think Richarlison's shown in the season how important his hold-up play can be for us.
Agreed, because we need it, but I don't think he's good enough at it.
But then you compare to Son, who he's kind of been trying to moonlight as a Harry Kane player, which is not his game, but he's kind of been forced to because of low blocks and not been able to run in behind, whereas Richarlison does occupy centre-backs really well. I mean, in this game, he annihilated Gabriel at one point. I think he's good enough and could be great. I mean, we've seen flashes of it. I was reading an article or listening to something earlier, and you mentioned about missing Kane for winning the long balls, but also the first man at a corner.
Yeah.
Richarlison was doing that earlier in the season.
Yeah.
We could talk about what we missed from Harry Kane forever.
It's obvious, isn't it?
But unless you spend a ridiculous amount of money, you're not going to get a new striker that's better necessarily than Richarlison or Son. Well, if we buy a winger that can pull players out of position, take people out of the game one-on-one, which we don't really have.
Yep, agreed.
But there's chances created there, and then space for other players created there. So I think, and also, when was the last time we had a real get out of your seats winger that makes you stand up?
Aaron Lennon.
Exactly. So long ago.
Do they exist?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I want Elise and Eze.
Yeah, but they're not Aaron Lennon type.
Oh yeah,
wingers.
but whatever. The
Yeah,
modern day
happily
equivalent. The
Yeah.
modern day equivalent, because there's not that position's not quite the same. I mean, Werner is more like that. They are two of the best footballers in the league.
Right, I've stalled enough.
Here, I said it.
Got to talk about Sunday. Right, line up. I think a few surprises and some not really surprising. Vicario in goal. Porro was back, which was great. Van der Ven and Romero. Davies played inverted left wing back. Bentancur and Højbjerg. I think Højbjerg came in a game too late, but anyway. Then we had Kulusevski, Maddison, Werner and Son. Surprises for me were Højbjerg, who I thought did really well when he came on against
Villa, wasn't it? No, Forest.
Forest.
Yeah.
And didn't start against Newcastle, which I thought was odd.
Yeah.
Came on and was terrible, but whatever. The game was done. I thought I would have gone with Sarr and Bentancur, personally. I thought Sarr did well when he came on. Don't know why he took Bentancur off. Whatever. There was I don't know what your thoughts were on Ben Davies. Some people wanted to play Van der Ven out there and play Dragusin at left centre-back, which is clearly not his best position. You're then making two changes when only one is necessary. It's not Ben Davies' fault we don't have a Udogie replacement for Udogie. I think that was the obvious choice, no?
Yeah, I agree. I'd rather not. I don't think Dragusin is that ready or shown that he's that ready. And I don't think without a run of games or a bit of time that he's going to be. And making two changes to the starting 11 where you can just make one and not disrupt the rest of it is the way to go.
Yeah. Jake?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Van der Ven's not going to play at left back. So, yeah.
People wanted it to happen.
Well,
and he has done.
Not for us.
Not for us.
And
he's done it for Netherlands. He did it for Wolfsburg. And the people are now obviously reactionary. I told you that we should have played Van der Ven out there. Well, if they played Van der Ven out there, they might have scored 3 goals down the middle.
yeah, no.
You can't. What about the midfield too? Did you think he had it right? Well, how did you feel?
I was surprised.
Don't give me hindsight. Yeah, you were surprised at the time.
No, I was surprised that Højbjerg was, because I just think from what we've seen this season. I actually think I'm one of Højbjerg's biggest fans. I mean, a lot of people say it's time for him to go. I see a place for him in the squad going forward at most. It just doesn't feel like he's a really Ange type of player, a 90-minute Ange type of player.
Yeah.
So that's the bit that I'm kind of a bit confused. I was a bit confused about, because you think Bissouma, whatever his faults have been in the second half of the season or whatever, he's much more of an Ange player, isn't he? An Ange 6. He gets on the ball. He gets about. Yeah, I'm surprised. Yeah, that Sarr. The thing is, though, you kind of feel like I'd say Højbjerg aside, whether Sarr plays, whether Bissouma plays, whether Bentancur plays. There's not much to choose between them,
That's a problem, isn't it? We
I
don't
don't
know
think
our
so.
best starting. Let's have just quickly, Jake. Sunday it was Højbjerg and Bentancur. Newcastle,
Does Pep know his best starting 11?
Well, I think he probably does. It was Bissouma and Bentancur. Forest, it was Sarr and Bissouma. West Ham, it was Bissouma and Bentancur. Faff. That's a key position.
But when we did say this when they were injured and people were in and out, what is our best team? Who do you want to see play every game?
I think Sarr and Bentancur is our best two, if they're on form. And I know that doesn't always happen.
So as a pair, I almost completely disagree, because I don't think Bentancur has been good enough in the 6. I think he has all the attributes you think, wow, he's going to be great in that position. He's good on the ball, good dribbler, great passer. For some reason, when he's the deepest midfielder, he passes to the opposition, and don't really understand why. It was a complaint at Juventus as well, where he would lose the ball in key areas. So I think we've seen that. It's been really Bentancur or Sarr. It's been Højbjerg or Bissouma.
You're right. I'm thinking back to that Brighton game where I think it was Brighton. He constantly gave the ball away.
it's almost like he's better either receiving the ball or receiving it on the sort of half turn, whereas Bissouma obviously has the game in front of him and it's like that first pass, and then it just, I guess that's obviously kind of Bentancur is better at that.
So what do you think is our best two? Well, I know you say we need to sign one.
I don't think it matters. I would sell Højbjerg.
Yeah.
I don't think he fits the system at all. I don't think he's good enough when being pressed, and he just suits a more defensive team, in my opinion. But I think we can switch players around as we go. I don't think it's that big a deal to have, this is our nailed-on midfield. The fact that we've got so many genuinely quality players that can be shifted in and out is great, and we've generally avoided the over-reliance on anyone. However, from the last few games, I've been thinking how we've made changes to the midfield at half-time or early in the second half. The entire midfield in the last few games. Is there more of an issue with how we're starting games in the starting midfield than the substitutes? Because I thought when he brought on Højbjerg, I think it was against Newcastle, or I was like, or did he make a triple substitution in the game before?
Could have dragged them all off against Newcastle.
So he brought Højbjerg on at half time against Forest.
Yeah, and I think we saw improvement. Now, I would say again yesterday or the weekend, we saw an improvement when we subbed off Højbjerg and Bentancur for Bissouma and Sarr. Now, we can talk about personnel attributes, but there's a little bit of a theme there with our game state.
With second half FC, that's what I've been saying for a long time.
I thought the more surprising thing was Johnson not starting. That was the thing.
Instead of Kulu?
Yeah.
I actually thought Kulu was the right pick.
I think you can go, I kind of agree with you. You could kind of go this way, go that way in midfield, and you're a bit like, well, it's not like you're kind of losing something if Bentancur starts or Sarr starts, although, but I think just the way Johnson's been playing, I figured that he would get the start.
We talked, but I thought it was maybe you who said it. Great to have off the bench.
He's also good to have off the bench, but I think I've said this before, I think Kulusevski is, I think his best position, it's just not out on the wing. I don't think he's good. Whatever he had when he came and whatever he brought when he arrived for that first 6 months has disappeared. And I thought his best games this season have been when Maddison wasn't playing and he was playing as the 10.
He went into the 10, didn't he,
He did.
Sunday?
And I mean, I don't know, there's something about the way he plays that I think lends itself much better to playing, sometimes with his back to goal. I think when he's running at play, he's just not as good when he's having to run at the fullback. And he seemed to do it all right under Conte. Maybe because
more space to play
a lot
with
more
under
space.
Conte.
This time,
good point, 'cause we were on the counter.
And also it was more sort of take the fullback down the line, then cut back in. Whereas with Ange, it's all from inside, and it just doesn't work for him.
When he does take the ball on the outside, rarely it generally comes off.
Yeah,
and that's what we want. And
he did against Leeds in that game against just before the World Cup. Skinned his fullback twice on the outside.
Yeah, and Ange talks about recently Kulusevski was out the team because he was cutting inside too much, wanted to get involved too much, wasn't holding the width.
Right.
And then he was taken out of the team. I think Kulusevski sometimes has great performance on the wing, but I've enjoyed him in midfield. I would really like to see Maddison dropped.
Yeah.
I think he's been in abysmal form.
Awful.
Don't know if there's an injury, don't know what's going on. Since he's come back, he's not been the same. He irritates me in other ways, but I think he's an exceptional footballer, who I'm glad we have. But I would personally start Kulusevski over him in midfield because, I think he changed the game when he moved centrally. And Brennan, I feel like we've watched a player from the start of the season just grow and grow and grow.
Yeah, 100%.
He is completely different. He tries to take on his man a lot more. He's great at ghosting into the box. And I was also surprised that he didn't start. I think him and Werner have got a really excellent partnership going. And if anything, like against Forest, it was our only outlet, was Werner across to Johnson. We've created so many goals that way that, I think it was a shock to see Kulusevski in over him.
Someone did a really good tweet about Maddison, and I'm just trying to find it. So the 3 stages of Maddison. Talk amongst yourselves.
What, this season?
No, I think it was a Leicester fan.
Yeah, I think I've read this. It's about his seasons in thirds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't find it.
He gets injured, plays really well, and ghosts, I think, was the summary of that tweet.
Can't find it.
Which I think we've seen. I think we've seen this season. What's irritating me at the moment is his petulance. he's kicking out, moaning a lot, and it's when you're playing well, it's great.
Playing a bit deep though. He's playing very deep.
Mm.
He might benefit from playing with a proper centre forward. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, we're 3-0 down after 38 minutes.
If I would have, I almost left.
Mate, I said to my dad, I'm happy to leave.
Yeah.
So my dad drove.
I took a mate who doesn't go to Tottenham very often, so I didn't even suggest it because I was like, I feel bad. If I was there on my own, I think I'd have walked.
We've talked about this before. What's the earliest you've left a game?
Not that early.
Fulham away FA Cup, 2008 maybe. We're 3-0 down after 25 minutes with 10 men. And I'd worked at a game, unfortunately, at the Emirates that morning. I'd hot-footed it across to Fulham for a 4 o'clock kickoff. And I was like, do you know what? I've been up since 6 in the morning. I'm going home. You?
I don't think I even left the infamous Bayern game early.
Oh, yeah.
I've been late into matches because of Wembley ticketing.
Yeah.
I only saw the second half of our win against Real Madrid, and that hurts me to this day.
Ouch.
Yeah, really hurts.
Yeah, my mate Ben, the 1-0 against City in the Champions League, turned up after half-time.
Yeah, same from the Madrid game. Was in like the Wembley ticketing office for so long, and the queues were crazy.
So
The thing that upset me though the most, really, at half time was that it felt like, certainly after the first 20 odd minutes, it felt like that we'd started the game really well. You know how good a side Arsenal are, and it just felt like the goals that they scored, and it felt like this for most of the game. Obviously, the second half was different, but it didn't feel like we'd been outplayed. They've obviously scored 2 goals from corners, and then they've done us on the counter. Which,
yeah, but those are kind of the goals you get to score against Spurs, right?
Well, yeah, but that's why I find in general the situation less worrying, because teams aren't coming and playing us off the park. We're not even getting passed off the park. Do you know what I mean? We're getting done over in moments, and it feels to me like long term that fixing individual moments and individual passages of play, especially when it comes to set pieces, must be easier to fix over the summer or whatever than say, my goodness, look how many teams have come and absolutely just either bullied us, played us off the park, run us off the ground for 90 minutes. Like, I don't ever feel that's happened.
It's only fixable if you hire a set-piece coach.
Right. Well, which Arsenal have done.
But you say that. We had a set-piece coach and Arsenal have a set-piece coach. And yeah, that will help us score because they tend to only work on attacking set pieces. I don't really care right now that much about our attacking set pieces. Romero could have had 3 at the weekend. They're a problem we need to improve. It's defensive set pieces.
Sure, they must deal with that.
Giovanni Vio did not deal with defensive set pieces at all.
Well, somebody has to.
At all. And so it's Mili Jedinak that's dealing with our defensive set pieces.
Remarking zonal, a space never scored a goal.
But everyone, what I was gonna ask you about, Johnny, is what are the perceived, or either of you, the perceived advantages of zonal marking in set pieces defensively? Because doesn't everyone do it now?
Yeah, lots of teams do zonal. Some do a hybrid. Some do man to man. I wouldn't necessarily say that the way you do it, the way you mark up is an issue. It's just how you approach them in general. I think it's bigger than, oh, you're just zonal. Go man to man. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. There was Arsenal were changing their corner setup in attack every corner, and then we felt like we were quite stagnant to it. And I guess you could consider man to man might help you out there because you're going to follow a man. We need a set piece coach for attacking, but yeah, we need to see improvements defensively. But just hiring that coach isn't necessarily going to do it.
And also, obviously, it's bad to be 3-0 down at half time, but if you think about it, the first one was an own goal. I mean, and there are some own goals that are bad, but I mean, that's unlucky for the ball to slide in off his head from a corner.
That was a great finish.
Well, there you go.
He was leaning that way. It looked like he was going
I've seen it
goal.
once live, and I'll never see it again. I won't ever watch
I watched
that.
it on the way in, and I was like, "Great finish, Pierre. Thanks."
Yeah.
For that. Like, what are you doing?
So that's not that doesn't. Okay, we concede from corners a lot, but that own goal. We haven't. I mean, an own goal. There's a bit of misfortune. Some of the corners we've conceded from, no, I'm not having at all. But it's a bit unlucky if you concede an own goal from a corner like that. Then we had the Van de Ven offside goal. We had Romero hit the post. He missed one that just went past the post. He then hit the post. Then we had Van de Ven offside.
Yeah.
Then we had the non-trip on Kulusevski that they then went and scored from.
Is that a penalty for you?
1,000,000%.
I was
James?
convinced by Warnock on when he was analysing it on telly. I beforehand I was like, so light, but then he's right. That clip of the ankle forces Kulusevski to trip over himself, and if that was anywhere else on the pitch, if that was in a transition, it's a yellow card.
That's what I said.
Like,
if it's anywhere else on the pitch,
it's an old cliche, isn't it? But it's true.
Yeah.
And I think the Romero hitting the post could have been one as well. Partey is not looking at the ball.
You never get
Romero's
that.
jumped in the air and he's just two hands pushed him. Yeah, but then later on, Kulusevski stops a breakaway
Gets booked for
by
it.
putting two hands on the back of a player and pushing him over.
Yeah.
So there's no difference really there. You never get them, you're right.
Yeah.
And then it's the clear and obvious argument.
Yeah.
Was Kulusevski's one clear and obvious for VAR to overturn it? Was there even anything for them to look at for Romero one if referee didn't see it?
I've got to be careful what I say, but I don't like Michael.
But the point
don't like
is,
Michael
the
Oliver.
point is that we are 2-0 down, and we almost. It's not a stretch to say we could have been 2-1 up. Or at least 1-1.
We didn't play badly from start to
No,
finish.
but
really.
not just even the way we played, but what actually happened. I mean, post a disallowed goal, penalty. One of those goes in. It's a different game. And then the 2-0. We knew that Ben Davies against Saka could be a problem. And that is basically what happened. Saka, world-class player. Davies, a good, solid defender, gets done over.
We left him one-on-one.
We left him one-on-one. He ran the wrong angle back, whatever.
Did show Saka onto his left foot, which was not smart.
Absolutely. It wasn't great. The third goal was, I think, the worst that we conceded because Vicario will... I don't know if have you seen that one back? I mean, where... who was it that Havertz? I think he was about 3 yards out by the time he's headed the ball. So on another day, or hopefully next time, the goalie's got to just punch.
Yeah, but since that City game in the FA Cup, teams of Everton did it
Correct.
the week after. Teams
so
have
I'd
worked
like
us
to
out.
I'd like to see a defender from our side helping out Vicario there.
De Gea had this problem when he came to the Premier League, and they worked it out.
There you go.
So work it out. It's been...
But
When was
they
that?
didn't- but
That
they didn't work it
January
out
was
in-
that FA Cup game.
But they worked. Everyone think of David De Gea now. You think of world class goalie, but it didn't happen overnight.
Hasn't got a club at the moment.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what game it was, but there was that. We did put a defender. We got a player in between whoever was put onto Vicario, basically. Because
I think it was the second half of the Everton game.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
they just put another man on him, and then it was irrelevant. And there's definitely been, and I've called for it personally over the years, is to be a bit more lenient on the not fouls but contact on goalkeepers, and that's happened this season.
Yeah,
and some teams are taking advantage of it. I'm annoyed that we're not doing it. We don't often put someone on a goalkeeper in our attacking set pieces. So
James, I don't think we're streetwise on a number of things. I think the Saka goal, I'm trying to rerun it in my head like I said, I've only seen it once. Foul the bloke on the halfway line. Arsenal are the master of the dark arts at the moment.
we had such a high line,
Right. Well, there you
and
go.
there was no one to foul him.
Okay.
We have to improve in transition. There were points in this game where our high line was like halfway into the opposition box, and
but don't you just
again,
love watching Big Mick just start 3 yards behind the
incredible.
player and just go?
it's incredible. But is it almost limiting us in a way by
Pro-
because
yeah.
we rely on it?
And also, like, how many times can his hamstring deal with that? I mean, over the course of
Arsenal
a 10-year career.
Arsenal doing these timeouts halfway through each game. Arteta's standing on the pitch. When we got the penalty for 3-2, David Reyes on the halfway line. All these things just make you a bunch of bastards. And we're too nice. We're too nice. You're getting nowhere being nice in the Premier League.
Well,
Correct.
Ange said that about Romero. I need to get what's in him in the
he
others,
was great.
and he was incredible. I think we've had something about South American footballers. They love to just come over and they're dogged. They tackle. There was always, I remember watching football growing up, and people were like, coming straight from South America, a player can't do it. They can't handle the physicality. If you've ever watched a South American game of football, it is more violent than any other football I've ever seen. Maybe the pace of the game coming straight for fine, but the physicality, no. And I think we've had Lamela. Lo Celso's horrible.
Yeah, horrible.
Yeah.
And Romero is like that as well. However, he's not getting any cards, really. He's not getting any cards in ages. He's really improved. He's not losing his head so much. And he was the leader for me in that game. And I think, if the other players had that mental toughness and astuteness, streetwise, as you say, like Romero has, then, would be it might be a different result, and I think we'll get there. He just started to play at striker.
Yeah.
And it was incredible. I was terrified, but it was brilliant. And we got a reward for that later in the game. I think if there's people saying like, "Oh, should make Romero captain," it doesn't really matter. Like he is a vice captain. He is one of the leaders in the squad. That's fine. But I think there are some players like that. Porro is pretty nasty sometimes, and it's just Latin.
Also, I don't think it's right to compare us to Arsenal now, because Arteta, it's I won't use the word project, whatever you want to call it, development stage cycle. He's been there how many years now?
Nearly 5.
Yeah, and let's not Arsenal in his first season. I mean, his first couple of seasons, like it's only really last season that they've been a properly good team. Let's be honest. They absolutely fell off the rails, didn't they, when in the season we finished ahead of them. They lost that game at Newcastle. It was like us in 2016 or whatever it was. So, it's good. They're a good side, but they haven't been a good side forever.
They weren't great on Sunday.
And they definitely weren't great in the second.
Unfortunately, they didn't have to be.
Well, Jose Mourinho was coaching them, so, sit back and counter.
Yeah.
11 men behind the ball.
It was how they played.
It's how we've beaten them in the last few seasons when everyone's been unhappy with our football. Arsenal under Arteta, first 2 seasons were 8th, then 5th, and then 2nd and 1st. It is about a project, and saying like Ange out now is crazy. There were Arsenal fans calling for Arteta out all over the place. Liverpool is similar. I think these are the teams we have to compare ourselves to. Klopp's first season was 8th, and then 4th before they really started competing at the top.
I'm just worried about that goals conceded column. We've conceded 52 goals. As an aside, means nothing. Arsenal have never conceded that many goals in any Premier League season. Doesn't really mean anything. I just was looking at it on Sunday. I'm worried about that goals conceded column. And if you continue, I've been saying it since December, if you have to score 2 goals to win every game, we've kept 2 clean sheets in 24. If you have to score 2 to win every game, you ain't amounting to anything in this league.
I've spoken to some friends that watch Celtic, and I cannot say that I know this to be true, but in the second season at Celtic, supposedly he started to leave 3 back instead of 2.
Okay.
And so one fullback would sit or a midfielder would sit. And
see, that's what I thought he should have done on Sunday.
Completely agree.
David should have just sat there.
Completely agree.
Yeah.
I think that would have been a really good opportunity to try that.
Yeah.
But if the first season in Ange's, again, I feel like if you really listen to his post-match press conferences, he kind of does answer or at least acknowledge the fans' thoughts on issues. He's talked about set pieces and how, I think there's more for us to fix than set pieces right now with how we play. And also, I wonder if it's like this season is a learning curve for the players. Are we leaving 2 back because he's like, I want the fullbacks to learn their role perfectly this season. I want them to understand where they need to be in the midfield, in the final third. And the only way to do that is to have them doing it all the time. And the next season, pre-season, we make tweaks. I think Madison said earlier in the season, or it might have been Ange, the players that had a pre-season really started the season really well. Ange mentioned, I think Brian Hill didn't have that pre-season. It's been harder for him to get involved. Then the players that got injured haven't necessarily come back and been in as good form. Maybe that pre-season is really important, especially in the first season, to his football. And then next season, hopefully we'll have a full squad fit, Euros dependent, end of the season dependent. And, he can make those changes, adjust his football, and hopefully we can kick on. Like, as I said before, my head is almost next season.
I've just never seen him, and I'm not saying it's wrong, I've just never seen a man be given so much slack. Not slack's the wrong word because he haven't done that badly, but this whole sort of, let's see what happens next season. I know it's a project. I just don't remember a manager being given so much. Well, it's okay if
but you know
this
why,
falls
though?
apart.
Because what was the state this time last season? And that's all it is.
But managers,
you can't be. What can you be expected to do when you finish 8th? What's success? What does success look like for the following season?
Well, he says we're going to be in a title race.
Yeah,
but where did you think we would finish this season?
6th to 8th.
Well, so then
fine.
I get that, but I also think
but that's
you can't.
Why you'll get, that's no, but that's why he's given a bit of a wide berth, because we will do better than last.
Okay,
season.
and this season Newcastle, Man United, and Chelsea have been terrible.
Yeah, but who was terrible last season?
Yeah,
we were one of the.
There'll always be someone. I'm again repeating it. I'm not saying we haven't done well. I keep going back to the 2 clean sheets in 24.
It's
Got to sort that out. And I don't think we're that potent up front. I know we're scoring goals. Look, both goals on Sunday were gifts. Didn't score against Newcastle. We came back against Forest. Keep coming back at home to poor sides. Don't think we're that potent in attack. Arsenal have a brilliant balance between defence and attack. We don't have that.
Correct.
And it's
but
taken them
they're
5 seasons
years.
to get there.
Yeah,
Correct.
And that's what. But I'm just in answer to your question about the why he's given a wide berth. It's because what if you compare him to where we were last season? Is it not an improvement on what we saw last season? Because you're also talking about. Okay, it's now getting longer and longer, but it is only half the season that you're talking about as clean sheets. Across the full season, you'd say this has been we've been a better team this season.
It's much more fun to watch.
Yeah, exactly.
At
No, but
times.
we've
I was
also
gonna ask
but
that.
not only more fun to
At
watch, we
times.
have also been a better footballing, like better team.
Well, our away form is bad, and we've got 2 tough away games coming up. We're going to talk about one of them in a second. I just want to reiterate. I've had people say to me, "Oh, you must be delighted that Arsenal have won because it fuels your agenda." No, I don't. I never want Spurs to lose the toss. I don't want Spurs to lose anything. I just feel we have concerns. I totally get. Klopp did that in his first season. Arteta did that in his first season. There's no guarantees that we're going to become the Arteta's Arsenal and Klopp's Liverpool.
You can look at Ten Hag at United. It's not
It's not
worked out for
worked.
them. But then it feels like we have everything to progress. The recruitment's been incredible for a few years now. Paratici, who is, I guess, still a consultant, his talent scouting is excellent. His managerial, maybe not so. And now we have Langer and his team working on the recruitment. We have a modern data-led system in place that we probably haven't maybe had since Kamoli. And that's what all the top clubs have. Arsenal, I remember when Arteta was early on, they had Edu, and they were just buying, I think, Jarabchan clients.
Yeah.
And they were struggling. All of a sudden, they've sorted their recruitment out.
Yeah, massive.
And it's worth considering they've spent a lot of money.
Yeah.
They have spent the amount of money you would
800
expect someone to
million
win.
quid.
They should be winning the league, really.
Well, they might.
Liverpool spent a lot of money and made clever signings, bought Van Dijk for 70, 80 million. No one would have expected like Salah to become one of the world's best players. If you'd watched him before, you think, oh, it's a good player. Clever recruitment, and we've seen it. Kulusevski, Bentancur were great signings in that January. Udogi Sarr, brilliant talent scouting. Vicario's
Van
been
de Ven.
brilliant.
Bissouma has been he hasn't been a flop, but he's been an all right signing.
And if you guys can tell me a 6 that we can get that for a similar fee to Bissouma that's better than him, I'd be shocked.
Yeah.
I think we should spend a lot of money in that position, don't get me wrong. But like to upgrade on these players can be difficult, and that's why I think, clever recruitment, few positions each season, growth forward.
That's also why I think a striker is bottom of the list, because I think the glaring hole is if Porro and Udogi get injured, there isn't any real proper light for light replacement in our side. If Bissouma gets injured, we're arguing whether you could play Bentancur or maybe Sarr there. If Son gets injured, at least, Richarlison, different way of playing. Like
Werner can play up front, Johnson can play up front.
There's sort of ways of fiddling it. Right now, when Emerson and Ben Davies are unfortunately too far away from what Ange wants out of those positions when they're not
I
fit.
think a number 9 is getting higher and higher up the list the more the season goes, but we'll see.
I have to say though, didn't we look a different side when Richarlison came on and played through the middle and Son played out on the left?
Yeah.
I just think that to have Werner as almost a sub option, Werner's been really good, and I hope he stays, and I hope we pay the 15 million, and I think he's justified that. Anyway, I think 15 million's a snip for the type of player you're getting. But I do think that Son, I still say it, I think we're a better side when he plays from the left with Richarlison through the middle.
I'm also not wedded to him starting every game.
Sorry?
I'm also not wedded to Son starting every game.
Yeah, I think
All
that's
that.
becoming clear.
Well,
isn't it?
if you have
32
Werner,
now?
and also if you have Werner, you're not really losing out on much. Okay, you're losing out on finishing.
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 Yeah,
but
a lot.
But we saw when you get the ball to Richarlison in the right place, we saw it in midway through the season. He'll finish those chances if they're in the six, in the width of the post.
He's
Richarlison.
got it.
Yeah, and we were playing. To be honest, we were playing to his strengths
Yeah.
much more when he was fit and going through that purple patch midway through the season.
I think I've gone off Werner a little bit. I'll take him, but I've gone off him a bit.
I think if
Well, he's had
Son's-
like 4 games where he hasn't done much. But what about the first 10 games? He was brilliant.
I think he's been incredible, and his creative stats are brilliant. Like creating some of the most chances, most dribbles, etc. expected assists is huge. He's created 2 own goals, I think. He has been excellent. If we buy another striker, or we have Richarlison up front, and Son is going to cover that left wing and striker, maybe even the right sometimes, if it comes, never really liked him on the right, then I don't think we signed Werner, and I'd much rather us really take a punt on a really high-quality left winger, whether that is someone like Nico Williams.
Elise.
Or Elise's right. He's a bit more
Eze.
like Kulusevski.
Eze,
Elise's
Elise, get them
amazing.
both, play them all the time.
But like Eze instead of Lo Celso to cover Maddison would be dream.
Well, there's talk of Lo Celso getting a new deal.
From like one thing, but
Not
Ash
in
does
this
like
pod,
him.
there isn't.
I wouldn't do it. I think we really need English players, and we really need club trained players. We should be probably buying back Marcus Edwards and Cole Peters if we're going to be in Europe, because you have to have
more
4 club trained players, and we have Skip.
Must be
Austin, Brandon Austin,
Yeah.
who's looks like he'll be our second choice, maybe moving forward. Who knows? He should probably have a career somewhere.
Yeah. Lots to do.
We really need club trained.
As it is then.
All right. We've got another London derby. Oh, losing at home to Arsenal, Chelsea, and West Ham in the same season is bad. Big red cross on that.
I just
The
mentioned
Chelsea game, though. Even with 10 men, we'd have won that game.
Yeah, go on.
I would say on the Arsenal game, there's 2 glaring issues, as we've said, the set pieces and probably transitions. But just someone, Sharky on Twitter or X, was saying that, it was like Arsenal's 4th lowest pass completion, their highest X threat allowed, most passes into the penalty area they've allowed, their fewest through balls completed. We really did actually limit them, and they didn't really have a huge amount to go on in that game. The scoreline was annoyingly from these individual moments where set pieces can get you points.
Yeah.
And that needs to improve. But in terms of our general play, there's promise there. You can look to the future and see there's good
also
stuff
they've scored the most goals out of any team in the Premier League from set pieces, so it's not just us that struggled against them.
It's a pain in the arse.
We've also conceded as many goals as Aston Villa have from set pieces, so it's not just us that's had a problem, is what I'm saying.
But we could have stopped them winning the league, and Twitter isn't ready for.
Oh yeah,
social media is not ready for Arsenal winning the league.
As a North London derby, and the emotional aspect of it is devastating. Don't get me wrong, like trying to look forward, but as a singular match, there's nothing worse. That was horrible. I was sat in an office working with it on a screen while we're having to watch tennis as well. And I just was silent, and I had people coming to me on a talkback unit every time they scored, just like, this is just brutal. Yeah.
How good was it at the end, though, when we didn't manage to have a proper chance when it was 3-2, but just that feeling
the
of
emotion, the way.
Not only do we want to score because we can draw, but what the draw actually means. I was just, oh my God, I was like, this could have been the most amazing. Imagine if we score.
I did not get up off my seat when Romero scored. I was literally just sat there, just on my phone. Second goal, we talked about this before, I had 2 Koreans next to me, so they got very excited when Son scored. Yeah, at 3-2, you start really getting.
They were panicking.
Yeah,
you don't mind the Koreans in the stadium then?
I never did.
I didn't say you did, but there are plenty of people. Yeah,
that's really annoying.
Oh my God, yeah, we had this a few weeks ago. People complaining about it.
I don't understand it.
So
we've got the David Beckham of South Korea, probably their biggest sportsman ever.
Embrace it.
We're an international football club. Like, I think it's glorious.
Yeah, I agree.
And they also probably spend a lot of money on everything.
Flags.
Flags, yeah. Romero's finish was great though.
Yeah. Romero's finish. Also, I know you don't like the way we play, mate, but we only got back into that game because of the way we play. Mate.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got back in that game because Rare passed it to Romero.
Yeah, but part of the way that he wants us to play is that press. I mean, you saw where Romero was. We're not doing that under Conte.
We're an exceptional pressing team.
Do you see how many times in the first 10 minutes we nick the ball off them on the edge of their area?
Yeah.
That's exhilarating to watch. And I know it means a high line, but you've got to. You're never going to be able to do everything.
Just
basically.
love Sonny to shoot. I don't know what's wrong with him.
Oh
at the
my
moment.
God, yeah, shoot, man.
It's his bread and butter is outside the box, whip top corner from any position. I back him from anywhere.
Left foot, right foot. Yeah.
And there's a couple of times in the last few games where we're going, Sonny, shoot. What are you doing?
Well,
Because he's got the space.
he's not in great form, but we've got another game in 2 days' time. We're really good at Stamford Bridge. Really good. Before we talk about it,
You must remember when we won. Not the last time, the time before that.
Lineker.
I don't know. I'm asking.
Yeah,
you.
early 90s. I do remember it. I think we were in an all-white kit.
Right.
I could be making that up.
Ooh, same again.
Yeah. All right. Should we talk to an ex-Spurs and Chelsea player?
Not many of them.
Not many of them, no. It's not William Gallas.
It's not, I was going to say, it's not William Gallas.
Who else could it be?
I'd have loved Gallas.
You tell me.
Who else has played for Spurs? Idiger Johnson.
Yes.
It's not Idiger Johnson.
Carlo Cudicini?
It's
It's
not
not
Carlo
Carlo
Cudicini.
Cudicini. It's Jason Cundy. Let's talk to Jason Cundy. Delighted to be joined by a broadcaster and former Chelsea and Tottenham defender Jason Cundy. Jason, thanks so much for joining us.
Hello, chaps.
So I'm going to go straight in, Jason. I just wanted to get your thoughts really on the Ange Postecoglou tenure so far. I've got a few concerns which I've made vocal on social media, but I just wanted to hear your thoughts.
Well, look, he got off to a very good start, didn't he? And I think after the last 4 or 5 years of what Spurs fans have described as pretty mundane, boring football, defensive football, it felt like he was giving the Spurs fans what they wanted, plus results. I think he went unbeaten the first 10 games. Then, of course, the Premier League is a fierce beast, and things started to become a little harder. It's a very open, attacking style of football, which is easy on the eye. When it works, it looks really good. When it doesn't, it can fall apart. We've seen that against Arsenal, Newcastle. I'm of the opinion that he needs to adapt more, and I think the Premier League, it's probably the league where you face so many different styles of football from week to week, more than probably any other league. You know, one week you can be playing Burnley, the next week you can be playing Luton, the next week you're playing Newcastle, and I think you need to adapt. And I think that's what he has got to try and learn to do. There is a stubbornness about him, which I suppose in some ways you could say, I've got a style of football that I'm going to play. I've got an identity. Here's what I'm going to do. But that will only work so far. There needs to be, I think the best way, what Arsenal did to my mob, to great effect, and into Spurs, to back-to-back games, they adapted. You know, they sat deep, caught Spurs on the counter-attack, some set-piece goals as well, and Spurs and Chelsea had no answer for it. That's what Andrew's going to have to do for me. He's going to have to find a way up against the big teams, up against the small team, and find a different way of playing. He's been here for, 9 months? So we will see how much he's prepared to change and adapt to his style.
Jason, obviously everybody talks about and knows about the record that Tottenham have at Stamford Bridge. We've won there, I think, in my lifetime, a couple of years ago. Does that get into players' heads? Obviously, most of these players, have nothing to do with what's happened in the last 30 years, but they will know about it. Is that something that players, obviously they know about, but is it get into their heads? Do they think about it?
It shouldn't be, because it's a new set of players, new manager. Chelsea's got a completely new squad. The fans obviously know about it because they're around, whenever manager comes and goes and players come and go, the fans are very much aware of it. I don't think so, but it's hard when you look at the record the Spurs have got at Stamford Bridge. It's hard to say that it doesn't exist because history will suggest and tell you the facts are, there is something going on there. But I don't think these players will go into this game with that on their minds, in all honesty. But that narrative, if it plays out again, then you can go back and say, well, Chelsea won again. How does that happen? Or Spurs have won there again. How does that happen? But I don't think the players are going to that with that on their mind, in all honesty.
And overall, Jason, I've asked you about Spurs getting on in the first season under Ange. How are you seeing Poch? I know he's dividing opinion with Chelsea fans. How are you seeing it?
Well, he's got a very difficult job. The changing of the manager at Chelsea is something historically that we've done, and it's great effect. Roman didn't pull any punches. If he felt a change had to be made, he would make it. This is a different Chelsea now, completely different. The set of players that he's got, we bought a lot of potential, as everyone knows, young players. And with young players, you get inconsistencies. You can almost see, sometimes in the same 45 minutes, what Chelsea want to look like in the next 3, 4, 5 years and what we currently look like now. There is a naivety and immaturity about the way that we play at times. We saw, with Nani Madueke and Jackson over the penalty. That's quite an immature playground type of thing to be doing, arguing over who's taking a penalty. But unfortunately, That's who we are right now. And I think Poch has done, a reasonable job. I'm not, he's made mistakes on his team selection, subs at times. You look back and go, what could he have done different there? But largely, whoever comes in, we've still got a striker that gets in front of goal and largely will miss big opportunities. He can't change that unless it's on the training ground. But I think overall, I don't think it's been as bad as people say. We're a little bit of a nearly team at the moment. We nearly beat Manchester City in the semi-final. We nearly beat Liverpool in the Carabao Cup final. That's who we are right now. But you saw Aston Villa away, what we're capable of second half. We played well. But then I look back at some of the performances, Newcastle away, Man United away, where we've been shocking. So I think he's got to try. I'm not unhappy, but there has to be some improvements next season if he's still there.
I just wanted to ask a bit. You mentioned Noni Madueke in the penalty and how Chelsea brought a lot of young players in. Noni was a Spurs Academy player who chose to leave and go to PSV and was very highly rated before moving to Chelsea. Outside of the penalty incident, what is the general consensus around Noni? He seems to be starting a bit more consistently now and improving. Spurs could do with a player like him, a two-way winger. What's the consensus of him at Chelsea right now?
I like him. He started the last 5 games. I think he completed his first ever game against Villa. And I like the fact that he is prepared to run at defenders. He's not one of those that has a safe option, always looks to cut back inside, always passes back to the fullback. If he gets a chance to run at fullback, he will take him on. He's brave. He's got a nice way about him. There's a bit of an immaturity about it, but as I said, he's still very young, and this is his first main season in the Premier League. I think he's done okay. And the fact that he is now starting more and more, as you've highlighted, suggests that Poch is starting to trust him a bit more. He's getting ahead of Sterling, for example. So I think that probably gives you some idea to how Poch feels. I think largely the Chelsea fans are feeling that he's doing okay. There's a lot to work with. And like I said, he will go on the outside. He won't just cut back inside on that left foot. He does offer different attacking strengths. But like I said, he will commit defenders, especially when he gets in that final third.
And what about the game then, Jace? Because when this game got moved and put in the diary, I was looking at it thinking we've got a good chance of winning again at Stamford Bridge, just for this, as I said, for the second time in my lifetime. Now the game's come around. We've sort of gone like that. Chelsea have gone like that. How's it? How Chelsea? Well, it feels like you're more on and up than we are at the moment. I just wonder how you see it going.
Okay, trying to predict Chelsea right now, it's impossible. Looking at, I don't know if you guys saw the game at Stamford Bridge against Manchester United. It was 2 teams that really had a lack of structure. Arsenal would not have allowed the game that took place. Right? There's no way they'd allowed that game to take place. Too open. It felt like 2 men from each side had been sent off. There was so much space. And in the end, the scoreline, backed it up. It was a great game to commentate on, but it was absolute chaos. It might be like that because Spurs will give you chances. Spurs will come on to you. And like I said earlier, when it works, and early part of the season, it can be devastating. You can take games away from teams who've got a lot of pace. He likes to use, the wide men, Werner, Brennan, and obviously the pace with Son. But if the game is open, it could go anyway. Honestly, it literally could go any way. And I can see all 3 results potentially happening. That's not me sitting on the fence. That's me knowing Spurs, how they are under Ange, and what we can be like under Poch. I'm expecting an entertaining game, that's for sure, but impossible to predict Chelsea and Spurs right now.
Yeah, and I can't let you go, Jace, without mentioning you did 28 appearances, 1 goal for Spurs, but it's that one goal.
Injuries in there.
Yeah, I know, unfortunately, but it's that one goal I want to talk about. Some of our young viewers might not have seen it. I mean, if I say from the halfway line, you might get images of David Beckham, but explain it. Away to Ipswich Town, August 1992.
Yeah, it was Teddy Sheringham's first game, actually, and it was on a Sunday, I seem to remember, and the ball just broke, and Jason Dizelle, the ball spun between me and him, and I felt if he was going to go in there, I was just going to take him and the ball. And in the end, he kind of hesitated, and my momentum and the way that I went to tap the ball, it's just come off my ankle, and it's, as I said, it caught wind.
Big ankle.
Yeah, it did. It caught thermal, and it literally flew. As it left my foot, Neil Ruddock, who was playing alongside, he said, as it left my foot, that's in. Wow. And I don't know what, it maybe you could just see where the keeper was, but it just flew off my ankle, and it was just one of those goals. You can never do it again. You might never see one. It was basically a tackle. Yeah. That's the truth.
Yeah. Listen, if you haven't seen it, people go and watch it. It's Ipswich away, 1992. Jason, thanks so much for joining us. I say this to all our
Cheers,
guests. Good luck on Thursday.
Anytime.
I don't mean it, but let's hope it's a good game.
It will be, that's for sure. All right, guys, take care.
Cheers, Jason.
Cheers.
Take care.
Thanks for getting him on. Your mate.
My mate, my good friend, Jason Cundy, my good friend. Yeah, lovely chap. I've worked with him quite a lot. So
You've never seen that goal before.
don't say that. I have now.
Yeah.
Fantastic goal. I mean, he said it was lucky, but I think he's being a bit what's the word? A bit modest.
Humble.
I mean, it was a
Humble.
tackle.
It was a tackle.
A great tackle.
Good tackle.
If every tackle happened like that.
You could see Romero doing that. But it's actually it's
100%.
the opponent that flies into the top
I
corner.
mean, that was a bit of a name drop. Razor Ruddock said to me, "That's in,"
All right.
didn't he?
That's good.
Quickly on Chelsea. You said it to Jason. They're up, they're down. They're maybe a little bit more up than us at the moment. On the back of, we've had the apology after Newcastle, and then we lost to Arsenal. We haven't. I want to see these players, especially the form away from home, has been pretty poor. I want to see a reaction in terms of the way we play, but I'm a little bit looking over my shoulder at Newcastle at the moment. United, I know, are actually closer, but
So what I said to Jace, I still think when the fixture came out, I really thought this is a great chance for us to go and get our second win there in 30 years because they not necessarily because we were playing that well, but they were really bad. And in the last 3 or 4 or 5 weeks, or however long it's been, they've had that Everton game, haven't they? They had that United game, and then of course they had the Arsenal hammering. But it certainly feels like, that they could. I mean, they're 9th on 48 points. They're only they're 6 points off 6th. If they finished 7th this season, having had not only the last season but the season they've had this season, it would be quite an achievement. It feels like a tougher game than when the fixture came out, but I think there's enough that we saw in that second half to think. So I still think, as I said before the Arsenal game, I still go into any game now thinking that we can win.
Yeah,
We may not win, but you feel like we can do enough good things to be able to win. I would say at the moment we probably need to ride our luck a bit defensively. But I think if we play to our best going forward, we can still blow anyone. Because Chelsea aren't that good defensively.
awful.
So we can still blow them away. I think the Stamford Bridge thing's a bit of a factor.
Yeah.
They're obviously, they poach, they pass the ball well. They're a bit like us. They'll get after us as well. They'll press. But the way we pressed Arsenal, I mean, Arsenal are a good side, and we pressed them, to within an inch of their lives for those first 25 minutes, even though we were, kept conceding.
Chelsea aren't as good at breaking a press like Arsenal are. Because there were times that, I thought our press was great against Arsenal, but also times where I'm like, wow, they've just got through us really easily. And Chelsea aren't going to be as good at that. They're missing Enzo Fernandez, which I actually think maybe, not because of his quality as a player, but the fact that they get Conor Gallagher in next to Caicedo, which is a bit more astute, and then Cole Palmer definitely plays in the middle because Nico Jackson up front is pretty dreadful.
You know that Van Dijk said he was the toughest centre forward he played against this season.
Well, he might be, but he's
Can't finish.
up until the point he finishes.
Well, let's wait and see.
He's a good player. He just can't finish. He's
He's a less fun Darwin Núñez. Darwin Núñez is a wild ride. But Jackson's just I don't see it.
He's got some serious attributes, though. I think it's just finishing. He's like on FIFA, he's about 4 or 5 out of 10. But strength, pace, vision, decision making when he's not shooting, basically his passing, his eye for a pass. He's a smart, intelligent footballer, but Can't finish. But played on the wing. I mean, you have him on the right or left. I don't know what's his stronger position.
Left.
And when Nkunku's fit.
I forgot about him. Yeah.
Well, they haven't had him. They had him for a few games, and Jackson was playing on the wing, and he suddenly looked like a completely different player.
And Nkunku is just different class. And that, I don't think he's going to be fit. I think he's
No. I'm sure he's out this season. But
quite happy
next
about
season.
that because he's a very good player. I do wonder how him and Palmer will work. Nkunku does play up front, but he play behind the striker. Normally, he can play off a striker, play on the wing.
Nice problem to have.
Yeah.
You've got a player like that, he can play anywhere.
And then Palmer's the danger.
Yeah, top player.
Also, Johnny, looking over our shoulder at Newcastle, even if we lose, we'll have played the same amount of games as them and still be 6 points ahead of them.
Yeah, we've got to go to Stamford Bridge and Anfield.
No, but even if we lose at Chelsea, we'll still be 6 points ahead.
And then what happens if we lose at Anfield?
Well, then they also have to win.
Oh, yeah.
And then we'll be 3 points.
They've got 3 away games, and their away form is just as bad as ours. I'm just saying that I'm not sure if fifth is a shoe-in right now.
No.
Burnley have lost 1 of their last 9. We've got to play them next week. There's no guarantees you're beating Burnley. We should be beating Burnley, but we faffed around with rubbish at home. So I'm just saying we are.
Burnley, I would imagine. I haven't watched them of late, but I don't know. I haven't heard about them changing the way that they've played in the last few weeks.
They've been better.
Better at their
played well
game,
at Old Trafford.
But we should be. I would expect even
Of course
so.
we
They're
should.
not going to come part the bus. You know, if they were an Everton coming, then you just don't know what's going to happen. But
Well, I've seen enough Tottenham to know that we ain't getting anything at Stamford Bridge or Anfield.
There's points to all of our games coming up. It feels like we're playing Chelsea and Burnley at the wrong time. As if we played them, I don't know, both of them a month or two ago, it'd be great.
We've got to go to Anfield at the right time, but Spurs will turn it into the wrong time.
Exactly. I was talking to a Liverpool fan. He's like, "Yeah, you're going to beat us. You're going to beat us." I was like, "Have you seen our record at Anfield?
Yeah.
We can play. We can play like the best team that's ever played the game. And we will find a way to lose at Anfield.
Yeah.
We will find a way to drop points." So,
And always in an awful way.
Was
at Anfield.
was it April 2019? The Sissoko over the bar. We played a really good game that day, and didn't we still get beat? Do you remember when Sissoko was
through on goal?
Yeah.
Van Dijk, everyone's like, "Oh, look at Van Dijk."
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
Van Dijk
yeah.
didn't do anything.
He knew it was Sissoko. Let him
I'm
shoot.
pretty sure. Did we still lost that day? And
We did lose that day, yeah.
but we played really well, so we can go there. I tell you, okay, give me this at least. Are we not playing Sheffield United at the right time?
We have a terrible record at Bramall Lane. I was there in the pissing rain last season in the FA Cup.
They're relegated. It's either they're on the beach or it's for
They're-
pride.
They are so on the beach.
Yeah,
Come
they're
on.
dreadful football team.
They're
Also,
not good.
not only they relegated, but it's also last day of the season. That's different. Teams like that, I mean, they're not.
Leeds, we did that against Leeds last season. I think Leeds had a sniff to stay up, did they?
I think
If
they
they'd have
did.
beaten us.
Yeah, I'm sure they
smashed
did.
Yeah, beat them 4-1 in the end, didn't we?
But speaking of Sheffield, the other Sheffield, I just wanted to get this in because we talked about some young players earlier, bit off topic, but Matthew Craig might go to Wednesday next season on loan, and bit of a player people probably don't know about, who's been on loan at Doncaster, defensive mid, one of those players you think they'll have a good career, but never going to do anything. I'm quite happy he's going to go to.
I didn't know we still owned him.
Yeah, I'm quite happy he might get a championship loan. I'm quite shocked by it. He's never one that gets high praise.
But we haven't talked. We are going to. I spoke to Adam Inker yesterday, who commentates on the youth team. We're going to have a youth team chat in the next few weeks. It's becoming. Look at Man City flogging players that have never kicked a ball for them for £18 million. It's a massive part of a club, and we need to be doing that, recycling these players. We've talked about the 21s winning the league. Not all these guys are going to make it in our first team. It's good to see that these players are actually going somewhere now.
Yeah.
Well, we've got Phillips and Dorrington. They're both out on loan, aren't they? Phillips definitely is.
No, Phillips and
Dorrington's not.
Phillips
Divine.
is out on loan.
Divine.
Divine, that's it. Phillips is going to, I imagine, come back at the end of the season. Gary might get his wish.
Dorrington. Right, prediction. I'm going to ask you one more thing before the Chelsea game. I've asked you this before, Jake, so I'm going to ask James. Do you want us to lose to Manchester City?
It's a horrendous question.
Because I put this on our TikTok and it's done really well, loads of views, and had lots of comments, and some comments from Spurs fans going, "Yeah, of course I do," and some fans going, "Well, that just shows how little your mentality is supporting Spurs." I mean, come on!
So you're not a real Tottenham fan if you want us to beat Man City? Is that the inference from that? Right.
Yeah, and also you're a small-time club if you care about Arsenal more than you care about
People
Tottenham.
don't understand rivalries.
That's exactly. It's tribal. It's so tribal.
I want Arsenal in the dirt, so I want us to lose to City. I want us to win every game. I want us to lose to City.
Even if we were pushing for fourth.
I'm not that bothered anymore. I think the Europa League would be good for our development as a squad and a team. Harry Kane wouldn't maybe have got into the team without the Europa League. Maybe someone like Jamie Donnelly can get some minutes. I really think we've got some of the best academy players we've had in a long time. I think that's a general consensus amongst people that follow the academy. Europa League would be really good for them. So yeah, fifth all day long. Happy, fine with that. And if the coefficient, I don't think it's possible. I'm not sure.
Unlikely.
Unlikely. If
No, isn't it done?
No, it can be. Villa would have to win every game to get to the final. Like, they couldn't even lose one of the legs and get through. They have to win every game, all 3 games, and the Germans have to lose. I mean, Bayern are playing tonight. They've got to lose all their games.
Ah, yeah, okay.
if fifth becomes the Champions League, then great.
There's
And
no
if it
way
doesn't,
that's happening.
fine.
Okay.
I think there's the wider issue though with that is do we care? But is it not a factor? Is the financial aspect of getting into the Champions League not a factor that we should be more?
I don't want Arsenal to win the Premier League.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But also, we heard what Charlie said last week, attracting players. You know, you guys all want signings. We all want signings in the summer. We want to sign the best possible players we can. Well, you have a much better chance of doing that, both financially and for people that want to come to us if you're...
Pay competitive wages and they'll come.
Yeah, I was listening to an interview and today, and it was very much like the Champions League excuse for players was very much like, you'll get higher wages. And we've got a lot of money now.
Yeah.
We're one of the best place clubs with the PSR. Obviously, it's being phased out for something different, but it looks like Spurs voted for the new cap. I don't know much about the financial stuff. Confuses me, to be honest, but I know we've got a lot of money that we're able to spend. We'll get players. We got great players last summer without Champions League.
I agree.
We'll get great players.
It's
again.
about scouting now, isn't it? A lot more.
Definitely, and I think we're very well placed to benefit from that. And like, we got Lucas Bergvall from Barcelona. He could have gone to Barcelona. We might be able to offer him more first team opportunities, but we've got a lot of midfielders we've talked about today. So who knows whether that's actually true? But he looks a talent. You know, we can attract these players, and Ange just seems to like speak to people and just
that's
want to fight for him, want to join him, want to play his way.
Yeah.
I think we'll be fine, and especially with younger players that their careers ahead of them. If someone was a top player at 27 years old in their prime, maybe not, but we're probably not going to be shopping in that market a huge amount. So yeah, maybe some great young players that but fine, we'll do the Europa League for a season.
Let's go and win it, maybe.
Could be Conference League when we're on.
All right, prediction for Chelsea. Jake Robson.
3-2.
2.
Tottenham.
I was going to do the same, but I'll go 2-1.
2.
Spurs.
I'll say
goals. There's definitely goals.
I'll say 2-2, but I don't mean it. Take what you want from that.
You mean 3-3?
Yes, that is exactly what I mean.
Love a 4-4.
4-4. We had a 4-4 home to Chelsea, didn't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
That we should have won 5-4.
Berbatov pulled up Cudicini, the aforementioned Carlo Cudicini. Made a brilliant save. All right, we're doing another pod on Friday morning.
We are.
You look surprised. You have been invited. We're hoping to have a friend of the show, a former Liverpool player, back on, but you never know. So I don't want to tempt fate. So let's hope we are on the back of a win at Stamford Bridge. Jake, thank you for joining us.
See you Friday.
Good debut.
Yeah, thank you. I've enjoyed it.
Played your way into the team.
Yeah.
Got problems in centre midfield, so you never know. Rotated.
Having problems settling in.
He's great.
To the so not on the pitch, off the pitch issues.
I don't want to know about it. Listen, he's done better than Gary Diamond. Do you remember him?
No, sorry, who's that?
All right, we'll be back. It's you and Jake, the two Jakes on Friday morning, hopefully. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, see you soon. And up the Spurs.